What's up, everybody? Nonpon here. Is anyone else having trouble with PvP this week? The week that Kita-san Black came out? Yeah, I'm in the same boat. The thing about PvP is that you do career mode, and career mode almost gaslights you to make you feel like you're better than when you actually are. Because career mode gives you like plus 400 stats. Like it's like plus 400 invisible stats. And then when you actually do PvP, that life jacket is taken away from you. And that's kind of rough, right? And I feel like, for me, I struggle in PvP because I like to make parents, right? I want to make a 9-star parent that can help other people out and get all the friendship points and whatever. That's what I want to do, right? That's my goal in Umamusume. Some people's goal is PvP. And if it is, I'm concerned. But, I mean, that aside, I can see why people want to do PvP, right? People want to do PvP because when you get promoted to a new class for the first time, you get a bunch of rewards. After that, I don't know, my motivation kind of falls off a bit because the promotion and retention rewards are kind of whatever after that point. But, I mean, still, I get it. I understand. And, I don't really make guides, but I kind of just want to casually explain how PvP works and why you're probably losing at PvP. So if this can help you out, let me know. If you rather me do like a full training run with the goal of making a PvP horse, let me know if you want to see that, because I like to do parent runs, right? That's what I enjoy doing. I like to farm sparks. But if you want to see how I make a PvP horse, just let me know, right? But today, I don't want to scare you guys. I'm gonna pull up a document, and there's 140 pages of Umamusume. Now hold on. I'm not gonna read. No, don't click off. Don't you click off. I'm not gonna read the entire document to you. I will link it in the description. This is like a gift for me to you. Well, actually, it's not mine. Someone smarter than me made this, but still, this can be very useful. Don't read it all in one setting. Use it as a reference when you're curious about something, right? But the things I want to cover in this is like, I guess at least the stats and how stamina works. Because like, if you have enough stamina for like career races, you will not have enough for PvP long tracks. Do you know what I mean? Like in PvP long tracks, I mean, you can never have enough stamina, right? So when you do career mode, it's nothing like PvP. Just keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover, I think, just 4 pages here. I'm going to read them out loud, and kind of just give you my take on each of them, right? And again, this is a very useful resource. Don't be intimidated by it. It's here to help you out. Just check things when you're curious about something, okay? So the first stat they cover is speed. Speed is the most important stat. I don't think anyone is surprised by that, right? Speed affects how fast you go and your final spurt. It's pretty important. For me, I aim for 1100 speed. That's my threshold, at least for a PvP horse. Sometimes I'd be raising speed too much, man, and then like I'm afraid because I'm gonna get capped out later on. So what I would do is, I run, I think like 4 speed cards. For a sprinter, I run 4 speed cards, 1 stamina, and 1 power. That's what I do. I was at like, I don't know, like 1,000 speed, and I still had a bunch of turns left, so I started to like not raise speed as much, because naturally it would just increase from other events. So just keep that in mind. You want a lot of speed, but don't get so much that you're going to overcap on it and you're basically going to be wasting stats. Stamina is definitely the most interesting stat and the most confusing stat as well. So stamina is necessary up to a point, then it falls off depending on the distance. How much you need is based on a variety of factors. The lower your speed, the less you'll need. Pace chasers also receive an additional 11% stamina building. So this is something I mentioned in one of my other videos. Like if you're running a medium race, pace chasers will use more stamina than front runners, which is crazy to think about. because front runners, they set the pace, right? They're the ones with like they're the stat checkers, right? They're the ones with the most speed and stamina, and they're saying, hey, I have enough speed and stamina, I'm gonna beat you. The pace chasers are the one following the front runner who is pace setting, right? And they're like leeching. They're like leeching off the front runner. That's why it's like a tiebreaker. So let's say that there's a pace chaser and a front runner, and they both have maxed out stamina, maxed out speed. Who should win, right? It should be the front runner because that's the position you picked. Do you know what I mean? So that's why the pace chasers always kind of have like that little bit of a penalty when it comes to front running to make up for the fact that they have a pretty good position. So when you're in PvP, just kind of keep that in mind because pace chasers are really popular in PvP. Oh my god, they are. And I know like late surging can be kind of scary with RNG and you might need some power to push through. Just keep that in mind, right? Let's see here. Let's go ahead and go a little bit further here. Let's cover power because I don't want to read through all of it. Power is more important for shorter distances, but always helps out. It affects how quickly you accelerate to your top speed. In longer races, you have more time to accelerate. So having high acceleration doesn't have as big of an impact. And for the most part, if you meet your stamina goal, you'll focus on speed as much as possible, then power second. So yeah, for someone who's like miles or sprinters, if you raise up your speed, you're also raising up your power at the same time, especially with the Kitasan Black card. Getting like 1200 speed and 600 power is pretty easy, I would say. I don't know if it's easy, but it's something you can hit. So for shorter distances, speed and power, keep it going, right? For something that's a little bit longer, like mediums or longs, speed and stamina become a little bit more important, especially if you're a pace chaser, right? Power also affects when your speed when going uphill. I'm not going to cover that. I won't cover going uphill. I won't go that crazy on here. Guts isn't as useful in large numbers, but you need a small amount of it. Umas will want to have around 300 guts, but rarely more than 400. Up to 400 is a close equivalent to stamina. After that, it falls off. So like if you raise your guts, right, to like 300 or 400, it's almost the same as stamina. But I do know that there are very specific guts thresholds, right? This Japanese article over here, it kind of covers like how much guts you need per meter, like the perfect sweet spot. But to make it easy, aim for about 300 guts, I would say. 300 to 400. That's where it's probably going to be the most optimal. Unless you're doing a late surger. Not a late surger, an end closer. We'll cover that in a different video if you guys want me to. Then we have wit. So wit affects how often your skill procs, and this is how people easily get A ranks in PvP. This could also be another reason why people might be losing in PvP. You have too much wit, dude. Like, it feels good having all these A rank horses, but if you're a wit horse, it's not going to help you in the long run, right? It's like a lot of RNG. It affects how often you activate your skills, which is cool. You can consistently activate them. And yeah, you inflated your rating as much as possible, but it's not going to help you in PvP that much. Do you know what I mean? Which is really funny because when I look for PvP enemies, I usually pick the one with the highest stats because I usually have an assumption that that person is just wit inflaming, or inflating, whatever. And it's weird because I can usually like beat people who are at a higher rating than people who are lower than me who like really went for a different build. So just keep that in mind. That's another reason why you could be losing in PvP. The thing about wit is that it can activate, let's see, recovery here. So about 300 over here is how often you can activate your skills. So 300 is good in my opinion. 70% of the time you can consistently like proc 1 gold recovery. And then at 300 you might be able to proc 1 of 2, because the thing is, if you have too many recovery skills, they can't activate all of them. Do you know what I mean? So at 300 wit, you could activate 4 of your recovery skills 24% of the time in 24% of your races. So just kind of keep that in mind, right? But then there are people who have like 1200 wit, right? For the A+ rating or S rating. I don't know. That's a little ridiculous. That's a little ridiculous in my opinion. So kind of just keep that in mind. Stamina versus guts. Oh, here we go. Here's what I was looking for. In sprints, the guts threshold is 210, and miles it's 260, and mediums it's 320, and then long the threshold of 340, right? While 3600 has 440. So basically, take the threshold of guts, and you could probably add 40 more to it and be fine, right? That's what this is telling me. So that's why miles and dirt, 260 between 300 is probably a good break point. I just always go for 300 just in case until I make my end closer one day. Again, I don't want to cover too much on here. We can cover the stamina calculator. This is a very important one, right? So look at this. Look at this right here. So this medium distance right here, right? Requires stamina 710 for the front runners, 720 for the pace chaser. You see that? Look at this medium right here, right? 910 for the front runner, 930 for the pace chaser. So also a very important resource to have when you're trying to make a PvP horse. Just check out what requires stamina you'll need to keep your horse at the optimal speed as much as possible. Obviously you don't want to go overboard, right? Because your recovery skills will make up for the lack of stamina. But yeah, that's something else you can think of. What else on here can we cover? Stamina versus speed. Should I cover this? Yeah, sure. This one's pretty easy to understand, in my opinion. So for a sprint, you probably want around 500 stamina, right? If you have 1200 speed, 450 stamina loses to 1010 speed and 500 stamina. Do you see? That is crazy, right? That is crazy. Losing 50 stamina would mean that you lose to someone who has 190 speed less than you, right? That is crazy to think about. So you really want to make sure you're hitting the stamina threshold as much as possible. Let's go down to mile, right? Mile 1800, right? Recommendation 800 stamina. So look at this. You have 1200. You have max speed. You have 700 stamina, but you will lose to someone who has 920 speed and 800 stamina like they should, right? It is so important to hit this breakpoint. But the thing is, when you're in career mode, you're not thinking, oh, I need 800 stamina for miles, right? You're probably not thinking that, especially if you're following like my Sparks videos, right? Where you're just trying to hit 600 and all of your stats just to farm Sparks, right? That's what I'm doing. But that doesn't mean it's good for PvP, and that's my biggest problem, right? That's why I'm struggling. But so that's why I hope I can help you guys out with this one. Medium distance, right? Medium distance, 900 stamina with a gold recovery too, like 1, right? So 1200 speed and 1000 stamina loses, look at this, loses to 710 speed and 1200 stamina. You need at least, and the thing is, I think it's like 900 stamina right here, and then 1 gold recovery, so it bumps it up to 1000, sure. So just keep that in mind, right? This is pretty funny. Overall, with these three, you can roughly say that being 300 speed or stamina lower than the recommendation turns your speed stat into a decoration. Into a decoration. And just for fun here, okay, let's see. It's very difficult to have too much stamina in long distance races. So 1200 speed and 1000 stamina loses to 200 speed and 1200 stamina because you just can't keep it up, right? That's crazy, right? That's absolutely crazy. So hopefully this can help you out, right? I just want to cover this. There's also aptitudes and things like that, but I think the best way I do my content is by doing commentary videos. And what I'll do is, if you want me to make that video, I'll do a PvP run and we'll reference this together at the same time so I can show you a live example. Because this isn't my style, right? I don't like just reading a document and just, feeding you information. I don't like being at the whiteboard. I like being in the crowd and improving with everybody else. So let me know if this helps you out. If you have any questions, also let me know down below. I appreciate you guys. I probably have like a McQueen video ready for the new McQueen. If you want to check out that video, I think it's members only right now. If it is, I'm not sure. But yeah, $2 for early videos if you want to. But like, subscribe, algorithm stuff, whatever. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.